Hey guys, thanks for watching Weddings by Cled. We are really getting into 2022 and the wedding season has begun. We actually had our first wedding of the season yesterday, which was April 9th. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, but before that, I want to introduce our newest family member. Yes, you guys, I got a puppy this year. I know. Hi, Stella Blue. Her name is Stella Blue, and she is a black golden doodle. Come on, come on. She responds to treats very well. So come here, come, go there. Oh, did you see her? Okay, this is my gorgeous black golden doodle. She's about 19 weeks old right now. I took her home at 12 weeks. She is so well behaved. I just love having her as my sidekick. So hopefully she'll jump up here during the episode and you'll get to see a little bit more of her. But you guys, I want to talk, like I said, a little bit about yesterday's wedding. I just have so enjoyed Weddings by Cled and doing this YouTube series. Sometimes it's difficult to actually come up with content. You know, sometimes we just rack our brains and we have these meetings thinking, what can we talk about? What can we talk about that we haven't talked about before? It's right in front of my face. It's so obvious. It's weddings. It's not just this or that has to do with a wedding or a list of things or things you shouldn't do or things you should do or trends, but it's just a story about the wedding. So many times I hear from friends, you know, who know what I do, they'll say, well, how was the wedding? You know, and they want to hear all about it. And to me, it's really second nature, but every wedding has a story. So I'm going to freestyle a little bit today, and I'm just going to tell you about the first wedding of 2022. Okay, you guys, it is story time. Grab your chamomile tea or your red wine, and I'm gonna tell you how the first wedding for Cled went down in 2022. April 9th, 2022, Yasi and Phil, what a great couple. I first met them when I was actually doing another wedding at the Penthouse. If you remember, it was Bree and Sid's wedding, September 17th, 2021, and it was a big one. We actually vlogged it. So it's almost a wrap. We are right before bride comes in and checks out the space, and we're like done. So you guys did an amazing job, and bring it in, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in.
Just, come on, just get in here.
Bring it in, woo! Guys, it's kind of bittersweet to wrap this one, and I hope that I always have a connection with Bree and Sid because I just love them so much. You can check it out. But because of the way scheduling was, I don't always do tours with new brides that want to check out our venue during another wedding, but it was the only time Yasi and Phil could come in. So I said, come on in. I apologized. I said, you're not going to have my full attention because we have another wedding going on and I wanted to put my full attention there, but please look around, ask me if you have any questions. And I remember her saying, I love seeing you like in your zone, in your chaos. And I thought, wow, that's cool, like you get that. I later learned that she's a doctor and often has to deal with chaos, as many of you doctor brides do. And she was actually marrying her fiance, or now husband, is a chiropractor, which was kind of an interesting combination, but they just gelled so well together. And you could just feel the energy of their excitement and their enthusiasm. And you know, she didn't have any big expectations of the tour that day, but she said, this is the venue for me. And then we, you know, booked her into the venue. Now, you guys know that I don't always condone just day of directing as a service, but we do offer a wedding coordination service just for our Penthouse brides. And that's because we already know what's going on at the venue and we can offer that service to them. So she took advantage of that service. She also took advantage of our event design services. So we did her floral design and her decor, and we nailed her vision, as she said yesterday. So that made me really happy. She had this beautiful organic green and white vision, which we really executed beautifully for her. But now let me talk a little bit about the wedding day coordination. So we always send our brides a timeline, or I'm sorry, a questionnaire that they fill out, and from that we write the timeline, and the timeline is the holy grail of what helps us get through the day. The vendors get it, so they all know what's going on. So Yasi filled out her questionnaire probably about a week and a half before the wedding, and it still had some, unanswered questions in it, which was fine. We did the best that we could. So the week before the wedding, we got the timeline out to the vendors. Everyone seemed to be fine. Everyone seemed to be on the same page. And so it turned out that we couldn't do a rehearsal. That was because the venue was booked with another event that evening, which is the reason some people book the whole weekend so they can be guaranteed the Friday night before. But she was okay with that, and if the bride's okay with it, I'm okay with it. So I said to her, I can come over to your rehearsal dinner. I can do a rehearsal there. And she was like, no, it's just not gonna work out. There's too much going on. There's too many moving parts. She self-admitted, that things could be very disorganized. And I was like, okay, well, I'll do my very best to keep everything running smoothly. So as it worked out, we decided that we would do a rehearsal 2 hours before the ceremony. This is like something we hardly ever do, but you know what, you guys, it worked out. I remember really stressing about this on Saturday morning and really stressing are the brides and maids and groomsmen gonna be able to pull themselves away from pictures and from everything else that's going on to stop and do a rehearsal 2 hours before the wedding date, which is zone time. I was just like, okay, deep breath, Caroline. We're gonna do this, we're gonna get through it. It was one of the most fun rehearsals we ever had. I've never done a rehearsal on the actual day of the wedding. I did once, actually, take that back. I did an 8 in the morning one last October, but this was 2 hours before. There was just a certain energy to it that was so awesome, and everyone just kind of was there to make sure that everything went well. And maybe it wouldn't have been like that the day before. It went well and it went quickly because we had that questionnaire out beforehand and we got all of the bridesmaids' names and the groomsmen's names, and we approved the order with the bride, Yasi. And so it's a good thing we had that, because we were like, okay, you stand here, you stand here, you stand here. And everybody got in their places and went through their order, and it was done perfectly. And then they just kind of hung out. They did their first look right before the rehearsal, so everyone had already seen each other and all that nervousness went away. And they had their first look right before the rehearsal. So after the rehearsal, they were able to just kind of chill and hang out. Guests started arriving. The ceremony was that was another thing. So there was a little bit of uncertainty about the actual ceremony time, because I think they put 5:15 on the invitation with the anticipation that people would come at 5, but the ceremony was supposed to start at 5:30. It was just all a little bit up in the air, and I was trying to go with the flow, and I just needed to know, when are guests going to show up? Because to me, we need to be ready. They had this beautiful champagne wall that I wanted to have ready because she wanted guests to be able to partake of that when they came in. I wanted to make sure that everything was cleaned up and ready for guests to walk in, and guess what happens? Guess what happens? Right before the ceremony, it starts raining.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Together, we decided beforehand we don't need a tent. The forecast looked okay. It was 5% rain 4 days before. So we said, okay, we don't need to go, to the expense of getting a tent. And it started raining. They didn't care. They were inside. They were having drinks. Caroline's freaking out, of course. Guests are starting to arrive. Guests are standing inside. So as soon as we had a little break in the rain, I went around and wiped every single chair with a microfiber towel. And guess what happened after I did that and all the chairs were dry? It started raining again. And it started getting really windy, you guys. And you know what? I just kind of took a deep breath and said, whatever happens, it's gonna be fine. So the next thing that happened when the rain stopped was every guest started wiping off chairs. I had never seen anything like it. We have these beautiful clear chairs out on our rooftop deck for the ceremony, and they were laughing and they were having fun, and they were all wiping down chairs with paper towels. It was the coolest sight I'd ever seen. Everything stayed intact. The rain did not come back. We were able to go through the ceremony. We were able to do the ceremony and get through it. And it was an absolutely gorgeous ceremony. It was so heartfelt and it was so genuine. And what I loved about it is that no one worried about protocol during the ceremony. No one worried about, I'm supposed to be standing here, or I'm supposed to be walking like this. The bridal party just kind of like encircled them during the ceremony. This is the part that I thought was the coolest thing in the world. After it was finished and they turned around to do the recessional, they started walking down the aisle. Their family started just standing up in the middle of the recessional. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, recessional, they're supposed to walk down the aisle, they're supposed to have their pictures, supposed to this, supposed to that, supposed to this. But what I was seeing was this like just outlay of love. Her parents and her grandparents and her aunts and uncles and his family and his grandmother was there. They just all stood up and just, there was like this big hug fest going on. It was absolutely beautiful to watch. And at that moment, like I didn't care about what was supposed to be happening. You know, at that moment, like I had sort of an aha moment, like a moment of learning for me after doing this 25 years, y'all. You know, I thought like, stop stressing about what you're supposed to do. I will always be diligent about starting my ceremonies on time, and this was on time. And I will always be diligent about certain things, but you know, this is all about the love. This is all about families coming together and celebrating together. And don't worry so much about the protocol. And here I am, a planner, telling you this. I know, first wedding of the season, and I'm learning things. To see that was just really lovely. The day the plot thickens, you guys, what happened, the wind just started blowing and the rain was still coming, and we had this gorgeous outdoor cocktail hour planned, and it didn't happen. Everybody moved inside. Everybody moved into the ballroom. And of course, Yasi, in full Yasi style, decided she didn't want reserved seating. So everybody's grabbing seats. The ballroom's packed. All of the DJ gear gets moved inside. We're helping him do that. We are creating a space inside, knowing we're not going to be able to dance outside later because the weather was just not good for that. So like my mind is thinking like 2 hours ahead, like when everybody's through with dinner, how are we going to have a dance floor inside? And it all worked out, you know. After everybody was done with dinner, we kind of like divided and conquered the tables. And this was totally okay with them. They said, do what you need to do so that we can have a dance floor, because these people were ready to dance. So when we actually got through with dinner, it was a buffet dinner, and it was amazingly organized by Center Stage Catering. They ushered all of the tables up to the buffet. And I think these people just wanted to dance. So we got through the buffet, we got through this delicious dinner, and there's Stella Blue playing. She's, you know, just sound effects here. She was actually with me at this wedding, and I would not normally take a dog to a wedding, but she's a puppy. And we have a great little back patio where she was in her crate, and I even had her along with me. It was really great to have her there. She was keeping me calm. But after dinner was finished, everybody out on the dance floor, you guys, and they just did not sit down. They did not stop and take a breath for the entirety of the evening. They had so much fun, and it was just awesome to see people just have so much fun with each other and just have so much celebration with each other. And even though we had rain and we had a reception that was supposed to take place outdoors, and we had to move it indoors, and we had to move tables and create a dance floor, and we had to do all of those things at the very last minute, it all worked out in the end. And as I was taking the elevator down to unlock the entry door for a bunch of her guests who had a really good time, and they looked at me in the elevator and they said, you're the coordinator, right? And I said, yes, I am. And they go, oh, you know, you did a great job, because without you, it would have been a total cluster. And I was thinking, it kind of was, but in the best of ways, you know, and they were happy with that. And the bottom line is that they had a good time, and they are gonna have just amazing memories. And you know what, you guys, I am gonna have amazing memories too. And this is the kind of stuff that makes me want to do this more and more and more and more. I cannot wait for the next wedding next weekend, and I'm going to go into it with a whole new outlook and a whole new perspective. So here we are, 2022. It's going to be a great season. Thank you so much for watching Weddings by Cled. You guys, please keep watching. You're going to get fresh new content every other week. Please subscribe. It helps me realize my dreams.